Chapter 63. Hunter spotted them gliding over the desert floor, heading their way. He motioned for Soren to join him, while Oriole soared to meet the newcomers, Alter and Wingmaker. As they approached, Hunter's gaze fixated on Wingmaker with profound intrigue. Alter, in her servitor form, added to the surreal sight. A half-human, half-deer creature, flying alongside a humanoid being with azure skin and wings. Not a common sight, to say the least. Upon their arrival at Soren's camp, Hunter and Soren found themselves captivated by Wingmaker's presence. Initially drawn to his translucent blue skin, their fascination deepened as they took in the complexity of his paper-thin wings, adorned with delicate veins. Yet it was Wingmaker's face that held their attention most. Not conventionally beautiful, but uniquely captivating, it bore the imprint of wisdom and youth, with a straight nose, full lips, and eyes that held a quiet insight. His golden hair, with hints of sienna and the faintest orange hue, framed features harmonized to perfection. Every aspect seemed meticulously designed to complement the whole, evoking a sense of divinity. Yet, despite his extraordinary appearance, Wingmaker exuded humility and a readiness to offer his considerable talents to any endeavor. There was no trace of ego in his demeanor. Rather, he seemed composed of a different essence, as if his very being resonated with a distinct atomic structure. His presence transcended his physical form, permeating the surrounding space with a profound energy. In Wingmaker, Hunter and Soren sensed something ineffable, a presence that transcended the tangible, hinting at a vastness beyond comprehension.
Have you ever had an experience that was indescribable?
Alter asked after they introduced Wingmaker to Hunter and Soren. Everyone considered her question, but only Soren answered.
Yes, definitely all the time. Just this morning I found out that a being could shapeshift from a servitor to an eagle.
He smiled, glancing in Alter's direction.
If someone asked me to describe the experience, I would fail so miserably that I believe they would consider me crazy. Now that's something I have experience with, and that I could describe.
Soren smiled and looked down. He couldn't control his eyes to look at Wingmaker, despite the magnetic pull of his face. There was something about those eyes that Soren feared. Maybe it was the sense that he would love them, and the moment he did, they would leave him. He could also describe that experience, the loss of love.
Well, I have flown in a dozen bird bodies, and none of them felt quite like that.
How was it different?
Hunter asked, anticipating his own experience.
No effort. It is not like you are flying, but rather that the world is flying beneath you. The world is moving, and you are suspended in the air, absolutely still.
I would say you described it well,
Soren said.
Can I offer you any mouse stew? I could heat it up in a few minutes.
He looked expectantly as his new guests, each of whom shook their heads and politely smiled.
Yeah, mouse stew doesn't sound too exciting, but it's all I have to offer. Sorry.
It doesn't sound good,
Hunter agreed.
but Soren is quite the chef. He makes something as mundane as a mouse, out here in the desert, of all places, and it is quite tasty, even to a werewolf's palate.
Maybe another time.
Wingmaker said, turning to Soren.
Is this where you have chosen to make your home?
Soren suddenly looked nervous, rubbing the back of his neck.
I was sent here. Not exactly by choice, though the other option was more definitive in its outcome.
He smiled nervously.
However, after 3 years, I have a good grip on how to live in this somewhat harsh world.
And are there others?
Wingmaker asked.
Well, Hunter showed up, and now you. So, yeah, there are others.
And we're it?
Alter exclaimed.
In 3 years. What about your family?
They have disowned me. It is all part of our tribe's practice of excommunication. The one being expelled from the tribe's body is always expelled alone. They cannot take their family or even a single friend with them. That is part of the punishment, maybe the whole of the punishment.
His face turned sad for a moment, and then, as if he recognized that had let his guard down, he was back to his buoyant self.
But I manage quite well.
Come with us.
Wingmaker said.
There's no reason to stay here unless you want to.
Soren started to fidget.
You know where I came from, I was considered quite crazy, and I'm sure 3 years out here alone, I haven't exactly rehabilitated myself. I talk to myself all the time. I have rocks for friends. I swear at the sky. I make one meal.
He paused for a moment, realizing he was avoiding the issue. He looked up into the eyes of Wingmaker and nodded. Just nodded. Soren suddenly saw what was behind those eyes. It was not a different atomic structure at all. It was not a being that was from a different dimension or space-time. It was himself looking at what he called Soren. It was him. I am that. Soren could feel his arm beginning to point at Wingmaker, and he stopped himself and lowered his arm. Manners,
Good.
Wingmaker said.
Do you need to fetch anything?
Soren shook his head as if to recenter himself.
I have one rock I would want to bring. A small rock. Well, not small, but not too heavy.
It'll be fine.
Wingmaker said. His voice was calm and smooth.
We'll wait here.
Soren rushed off in a flurry of motion. Hunter craned his head to watch him.
He's a good man. It was kind of you to offer to bring him. I thought to do so as well, but I'm not the one to carry his load.
Hunter smiled.
He is not a load. He is a soul. Souls are as light as air. And where the soul goes, so goes the body.
I hadn't thought of it that way,
Hunter said. In a moment, Soren returned, a smile on his face, his body slightly bent over, an artifact of age.
I'm ready to leave this place. But more than that, I can't wait to watch the world move beneath my feet. All my life, I've been like an ant traveling over the land. It will be nice to see the land traveling under me for a change.
Wingmaker held out his hand.
It's very simple. We hold hands initially, and I will calculate the most appropriate physics to enable us collectively to float above the ground. Once I have that calculation, I simply beat my wings, and we move as one being in the direction I choose.
Soren put out his hand.
I heard the word simple a couple times, but it sounds anything but simple, but I do trust you, though we just met. Funny thing is, that thing called trust, it can be lost in an old friend and found in a new one, and we have no real reason why.
Wingmaker took Soren's hand and then Hunter's.
Alta, perhaps you can fly this time yourself?
She nodded. Instantly, a ball of light appeared in that now familiar shape of an eagle, and in a few seconds she was rematerializing as an eagle, just as before. Oriole, who had been watching everything since they landed, flew into the air, circling the three as they weightlessly rose above the sand. Once they were about 20 meters above the ground, Wingmaker's wings began to beat, and the three of them began to move as one entity.
I will let go of your hands, but you will be fine. Don't worry,
Wingmaker said. As he let go, the smiles that formed on Soren and Hunter's face took over their faces. Teeth were fully bared, eyes wide open like infants seeing the world for the first time. As the land beneath them moved, Soren closed his eyes.
How did this happen? How did I go from a sand prison to an airy heaven? I must have died and didn't realize it. Until now.